The clink of coins drops into the slot machine, sharp and bright, and my heart jumps in time with each metallic echo. Around me, the casino hums with chatter and laughter, a blur of flashing lights and spinning reels, and I feel both fragile and fiercely alert, like everyone expects me to be small, but I know exactly what I'm seeing. For a heartbeat, it feels possible, just possible, that years of careful saving, of scraping by quietly, could finally change in a single moment. And then I notice her, Rosa, standing a few machines away, watching me with calm, steady eyes. She doesn't say a word, but something in the way she studies the room and those of us who are overlooked makes me feel like maybe, just maybe, I'm not invisible after all. Have you ever had someone see you when the rest of the world didn't? Stay with me to see how two ordinary people, weighed down by grief and years of caution, find courage, reclaim their voice, and discover unexpected allies in the most unlikely places. The kettle whistled at 7:15, same as always. I filled Harold's mug, 2 sugars, splash of milk, watching steam curl toward the window where light caught drifting dust motes. Outside, Mrs. Patterson's sprinkler clicked on, marking time like everything else. "Bills?" Harold said, settling into his chair with that familiar creak. I slid the stack across. Electric, water, insurance, each envelope slit precisely, reviewed twice. Harold's hand trembled, reaching for his glasses, a tremor he ignored, and I pretended not to see. Small mercies we'd perfected. "Furnace filter needs replacing." He tapped the refrigerator calendar. "Marked for this weekend." I nodded, sipping lukewarm tea while calculating whether we could afford the plumber we needed. The bathroom sink dripped. Nothing urgent, but the sound kept me awake some nights. Harold folded the electric bill carefully. "Remember when Sarah left every light on?" The name hung sharp between us. We didn't talk about her, not from forgetting, but because remembering hurt precisely. I saw her at 12, sprawled here doing homework, overhead light blazing despite the sunshine. "Said she studied better with brightness," I managed. "Drove you crazy." His voice softened. "You'd follow her around, clicking switches." Waste of money. I set down my mug, focusing on the chipped handle. Still is. We fell back to sorting mail. Circulars, dentist reminders, something about chair yoga. I reached for recycling when Harold paused. "Huh. What?" He smoothed a page flat. "Casino promotion. Golden Age Jackpot Saturdays. 55 and older." My jaw tightened. "Casinos take your money, Harold." "I know." He kept reading. "Someone won 12,000 last month. Lady from Riverside. Probably spent 15,000 trying." I gathered dishes. We weren't gamblers. We were savers who'd spent 43 years on steady ground. But something nagged. I reorganized the linen closet, updated our budget, pulled weeds that barely existed. Around 3, I found myself at Sarah's door. We'd converted it to storage, practical, but her desk remained, dust-covered. I remembered her at 17, saving babysitting money, planning undefined adventures. She'd had this lightness, this willingness to imagine beyond our careful life. "You're thinking about it too," Harold said behind me. I turned. He held the newspaper section. "It's foolish," I said. "Probably." He studied my face. "But we haven't done anything foolish in a long time, Eleanor. Maybe ever." "We can't afford foolish." 45 minutes away. Tank of gas, $50. We've got that tucked away." He hesitated. Don't we deserve one afternoon that isn't about furnace filters? The question lodged in my chest. When had we last done something besides maintenance, preservation of what little we had? Even Sarah's memory lived in converted rooms and careful silences. Outside, Mrs. Patterson's sprinkler clicked off on schedule. One afternoon, I said. Tomorrow. We go, spend $50, come home. Harold's face lit with something absent for years. Not joy, but maybe hope. The small thrill of breaking our rules. Tomorrow, he agreed. That night, I listened to the dripping sink and wondered what Sarah would have said. Probably laughed at how long courage took for something so small. The thought made me smile in darkness before I finally fell. The parking lot smelled like asphalt and exhaust. I gripped my purse, $50 cash in the zippered pocket, emergency 20 tucked in my wallet. Harold locked the car twice, checking both doors before we walked toward the entrance. Big place, he said. I nodded, throat dry. The building sprawled low and wide, purple neon spelling Lucky Star Casino above glass doors that whooshed open automatically. A burst of refrigerated air hit us, carrying cigarette smoke and something sweet I couldn't name. Inside felt like stepping into a different world. Slot machines lined every wall, screens flashing colors I'd never seen in nature. Electric blue, neon pink, acid green. Each machine chirped and chimed in competing rhythms, creating noise that pressed against my ears. People clustered around tables I didn't understand, cards flipping while chips clattered. A woman my age fed bills into a machine without looking, mechanical as breathing. "Ma'am?" A young man in a burgundy vest appeared beside me. "First time here?" "Yes," I managed. "We're just Players Club." He gestured toward a desk. "Sign up, you get a card. Tracks your play, earns points for the buffet." Harold looked at me. The buffet actually sounded appealing. We hadn't eaten out in months. "Okay," I said. The desk clerk had pink streaks in her hair and smiled like she meant it. She photocopied our licenses, printed 2 plastic cards. "Welcome to Lucky Star. Any question, just ask anyone in Burgundy." The cards felt official in my hand. Like we belonged here, though I knew we didn't. We walked deeper in. The carpet swirled in gold and red patterns that probably hid stains. Waitresses circulated with trays. Free drinks, apparently, though nothing came free. I watched a man in a pristine suit drop $100 bills like tissues, while an older woman fed quarters into a machine titled Diamond Delight, her face expressionless. "How do we even start?" Harold whispered. I scanned the machines. Some looked complicated, multiple screens, bonus wheels, poker hands I didn't recognize. Others seemed simpler. Fruit symbols, numbers, pull handles like old cartoons. There. I pointed toward a quieter section. Machines labeled classic slots, pictures of cherries and sevens. We sat side by side at adjacent machines. Mine showed instructions on a small screen. Insert cash or ticket. Select bet amount. Press spin. I fed in a $20 bill. The machine accepted it with a mechanical gulp, displaying credits 80 in bright numbers. 80 spins? Harold asked, reading his own screen. 25 cents each. I studied the buttons. Minimum bet? Maximum bet. I pressed minimum. The reels spun. Not actual wheels, but digital images that blurred then clicked into place. 3 mismatched symbols. Nothing happened. Credits, 79. "Simple enough," Harold said, pressing his own spin button. I tried again, and again. The repetition felt oddly soothing. Press, spin, watch, repeat. Around us, the casino murmured its constant noise, but I focused on my small screen, small stakes. Spin 17 gave me 3 bars, 12 credits won. The machine played a cheerful tune. "Hey," Harold grinned, "you won. $3. But warmth spread through my chest anyway. Credits, 94. We settled into rhythm. Sometimes Harold won small amounts, sometimes I did. Mostly we watched credits slowly decrease, but the thrill came from not knowing. Each spin held possibility, tiny, manageable possibility. Around us, other gamblers barely glanced our direction. We weren't important enough to notice. Somehow that felt freeing. Harold's machine chimed, a slightly bigger win, 20 credits. "We're practically professionals," he said. I laughed, actual laughter that surprised me. When had I last laughed over something this silly? My credits dropped to 43. I considered stopping, preserving what remained. But Sarah's memory flickered, her bright willingness to see what happened next. I pressed spin. Harold reached over, squeezed my hand. His palm felt warm, slightly damp. His wedding band pressed my knuckles. We sat there, holding hands between machines in this ridiculous, overwhelming place, doing something we'd never done, taking a chance together, however small. I squeezed back. The reels spun again. The reels spun, blurred, and then locked into place one by one. 7, 7, 7. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the machine erupted. Lights flashed in sequences I couldn't follow, red to gold to blinding white. The screen exploded with animated fireworks. A siren wailed from somewhere inside the machine, loud enough that people 3 rows over turned to stare. Numbers cascaded across the display, climbing so fast I couldn't process them. $47,250. The number froze, pulsed, grew larger. Jackpot winner. "Eleanor," Harold's voice came from somewhere far away. "Eleanor, what?" I couldn't breathe. My hands gripped the armrests, knuckles white against cheap vinyl. The machine kept screaming its victory, lights strobing in patterns that seared my vision even when I blinked. $47,000. We could pay off the mortgage, fix the roof, visit Sarah's grave properly, not just once a year when we scraped together gas money. Harold's medication, the expensive kind his doctor recommended, but we always refused. College funds for grandchildren we barely saw because plane tickets cost too much. Years. This could cover years. "Ma'am?" A waitress appeared, smile bright. "Congratulations. Don't touch anything, okay? I'll get someone to validate." Other players drifted closer. A woman in a velour tracksuit stared at my screen, mouth tight. A younger man nodded approval. An elderly gentleman actually applauded, slow claps that felt sincere. "How long you been playing?" someone asked. 20 minutes." My voice shook. Harold stood beside me now, hand on my shoulder. His fingers trembled against my collarbone. When I looked up, his eyes were wet. "Eleanor," he whispered, "this is real." The machine continued its celebration, relentless. Each flash felt like permission to hope, to plan, to imagine a life without constantly calculating which bill to delay. A burgundy vest approached, different from the friendly clerk who'd signed us up. This man was older, thick around the middle, with a name tag reading Carl, Pit Boss. Behind him came a younger employee carrying some kind of electronic device. "Mrs. Perry?" Carl's voice carried authority. Pleasant enough. but something underneath made my stomach tighten. Quite the excitement here. I won. The words felt surreal leaving my mouth. Is that... Do I really... Let's take a look. He gestured to his assistant, who plugged the device into a port on my machine. They studied a small screen I couldn't see. The crowd pressed closer. Harold's grip on my shoulder increased. Carl's expression shifted. Barely, just a subtle tightening around his mouth. He exchanged a glance with his assistant. Some wordless communication passed between them. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step back from the machine." My heart lurched. What? There's been a technical error. His tone stayed professional, almost bored. The payout displayed is incorrect. The casino noise continued around us, other machines chiming, conversations buzzing. But suddenly I couldn't hear any of it. Just static, loud and empty. "I don't understand," Harold's voice cracked. "The machine says, the machine malfunctioned." Carl tapped the screen, and the flashing stopped. The numbers disappeared. Just like that, the celebration ended. These things happen. The software logs will show, but I saw it. My voice came out small, childlike. Everyone saw it. What you saw was a display error. The actual outcome was a standard loss. He pulled a card from his pocket, offered it mechanically. "You can file a dispute with Gaming Control if you wish, but I assure you the diagnostic is clear. Not today, ma'am. Not today." Like I'd asked for something unreasonable. Like I'd imagined the whole thing. The crowd began dispersing, whispers following them. The tracksuit woman smirked. Victory stolen felt worse than never winning at all. Harold's hand slipped from my shoulder. I stared at the blank screen where $47,000 had been. "I don't..." My throat closed. "That's not..." "I'm sorry for the confusion." Carl's apology held no warmth. "Complimentary buffet pass for the inconvenience?" He held out a plastic voucher. My hands wouldn't move to take it. "Wait." The word escaped before I'd thought it through. Carl paused, eyebrows raised. "I want documentation." I fumbled for my phone. "The time, machine number, your name and position." "Ma'am, there's really no need." "There's every need." 40 years of tracking medical bills and insurance claims crystallized into this moment. "You're telling me I didn't win? Fine, but I'm documenting it." Harold touched my elbow. "Eleanor, maybe we should..." "No." I saw defeat settling into his shoulders, the same slump after every rejection letter, every indignity that taught us to stop fighting. Not this time. I photographed the machine. Screen showed my player card inserted. Time, 3:47 p.m. Machine A, 2:47. Diagnostic device still plugged in. "Ma'am, you can't..." "Public space." Was I allowed? No idea, but I said it with certainty. "Harold, write this down. 3:47 p.m., February 14th. His hand went to his shirt pocket, the notebook for grocery lists and medication schedules. Trembling slightly, he wrote. The tracksuit woman had stopped. She watched with interest. "Did you see the jackpot display?" I called. She glanced at Carl. "Yeah, I saw it." "Would you write your name down? As a witness?" "Lady, it's just a glitch." But she hesitated. "Please." Something in my tone reached her. She took Harold's notebook, scribbled Linda Marsh and a phone number. I saw the numbers. That's all. "That's enough. Thank you." The elderly gentleman stepped forward. George Patterson. I saw it too. Shaky but legible. $47,250. Clear as day. Carl's mask cracked. Folks, this isn't necessary. Is your equipment. Reporting whatever you need. I photographed the meal voucher. I'm not a lawyer, but I know when something doesn't add up. Did I sound like those pushy women demanding managers? Maybe. And maybe that was what this required. Harold, let's go home. His eyes met mine, surprised, then warming. Pride, maybe, or hope. My legs shook walking out, but I kept my spine straight. Behind us, Carl called about contacting Gaming Control ourselves. I didn't respond. February cold hit us outside. Harold unlocked our sedan without speaking. I climbed in, and only then did my hands truly shake. Eleanor, not yet. I pressed my palms against my thighs. Let me breathe. He started the engine. 20 minutes later, staring at our peeling paint and crooked gutter, something hardened inside my chest. Kitchen table, I said. I spread everything with the precision of decades of tax returns, phone showing photos, Harold's notebook, witness names underlined, my player's card. Start a timeline. I handed Harold a legal pad. Every detail. His pen moved. I'd forgotten how neat his handwriting was. I pulled up the casino's website, found their complaints procedure, printed it, searched Nevada Gaming Control Board, and printed that too. Receipt from signing up, I asked. Harold checked his wallet. Here. I added it. Corners aligned. Organization calmed me. Transformed rage into methodology. This is crazy, Harold said. They have lawyers. We're just people who got cheated. I looked at him across our 30-year-old table. And we have something they don't. What's that? Time. I tapped his timeline. Nothing but time. And 4 decades of making every penny count, every document matter. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. We worked past midnight. Photographs with timestamps, witness statements, complete timeline, printed policies and procedures, draft letter requesting formal review. I filed everything in a manila folder. Casino dispute, Feb 14. Harold yawned. What now? I stared at the folder, our fight against institutional indifference, reduced to slim papers. It should have felt futile. Instead, it felt like what we'd been preparing for all our lives. Now we mail it certified, I said, and wait for them to tell us no. And then? I met his eyes. Then we decide if we're the kind of people who accept no. The certified letter sat between us. I'd mailed a copy yesterday, but holding the original felt necessary. Proof we existed. Proof this mattered. Harold pulled into the casino lot, morning sunlight glinting off chrome and glass. You sure about this? He asked. No. I grabbed my purse. But staying home won't change anything. Inside, the casino looked harsher in daylight. Early gamblers hunched over machines, yesterday's cheerful chaos flattened into grim routine. At customer service, a woman with rehearsed sympathy greeted me. Not Rosa, someone older. I need to speak with management about yesterday's incident, machine A2427. Her smile tightened. Let me check. She typed, scanning her screen. Our technical team reviewed the machine overnight. Malfunction confirmed. The jackpot displayed. Multiple witnesses saw it. Sometimes malfunctions create misleading displays. The actual payout was $17. She pulled out a form. You're welcome to file a formal dispute. Already sent. Surprise flickered. Then you'll hear from Gaming Control within 30 days. I'd like to speak with Carl. He's not available. Dead end. Polite, bureaucratic, immovable. We wandered aimlessly. At the cafe, I stirred sugar into bitter coffee, watching employees pass. That's when I saw her. Young woman, casino uniform crisp, but eyes tired. She'd been near the machine yesterday. Dark hair, name tag reading Rosa. She noticed me noticing. Recognition flickered, maybe guilt. Excuse me. I stood. Rosa, you were there yesterday. Machine A247. She froze. Yes, briefly. Do you remember what you saw? She glanced toward the main floor. I wasn't directly with. Please, I just need the truth. Her jaw worked. Can we sit? We sat. She cradled her coffee cup. I saw the jackpot display, she said finally, before Carl arrived. 47,000. My breath caught. But the diagnostic showed different back-end data. That's what Carl pulled up. Could the back-end data be wrong? Harold asked. Theoretically, maybe. Equipment ages, software glitches. She met my eyes. But officially, back-end data is definitive. And unofficially, Rosa hesitated. Machines keep redundant logs. If there was a genuine jackpot, traces would exist across multiple systems. Can we access those logs? Gaming Control can if they audit us. What are the chances they audit based on one complaint? Low, unless there's a pattern, multiple complaints, or internal documentation suggesting irregularities. The way she said internal documentation felt deliberate. Is there something irregular? She looked at her watch. I need to get back. Rosa, please. She stood, then paused. Machine A247 has had 3 disputed payouts in 6 months. Not jackpots, smaller amounts. That's unusual. My pulse quickened. How do you know? I work inventory and reconciliation, cross-reference complaints with equipment reports. She adjusted her name tag. Gaming Control can subpoena maintenance records during investigations. But you'd need to give them reason to investigate thoroughly. Multiple witnesses, detailed timeline, evidence of pattern behavior. Harold wrote in his notebook. Why are you telling us this? Rosa's expression softened. My grandmother saved 2 years to visit us last Christmas. Someone stole her purse at the station. Police said file a report, never followed up. She just accepted it, like she didn't matter. She looked at me directly. You didn't accept it. That matters. She left before I could respond. We have an ally, Harold said quietly. I nodded, something unfamiliar blooming in my chest. Not quite hope, too fragile, but possibility. We need those other complaints, I said. The pattern Rosa mentioned. How? I thought about decades tracking down insurance errors, pestering billing departments, refusing computer says no. Same way we've always fought back, one careful step at a time. Over the next week, our kitchen table transformed into mission control. Spiral notebook, machine numbers, times, staff rotations. Spreadsheet Harold created on our ancient laptop. Patterns, anomalies, witness observations. My phone camera roll, timestamps, machine displays, every scrap of proof we could gather. We became regulars, not gamblers, investigators. $20 a day budget, small enough to seem harmless. We'd split up, each watching different sections of the floor. Harold tracked staff movements, who serviced which machines, which pit bosses handled disputes, how security responded to payouts. I documented machine behavior, play patterns, payout frequency, the subtle tells when something didn't match the advertised odds. Rosa found us on Thursday, sliding into the seat beside me at the cafe. "You're being watched," she said quietly. "Security flagged you both yesterday. Not banned, just noted as frequent visitors who don't gamble much." "Is that a problem?" "Not yet." But Carl noticed. Asked why two seniors suddenly care about slot machines they barely play. Harold leaned forward. "What did you say?" "That maybe you enjoy the atmosphere. People do." She sipped her coffee. "But keep your observations subtle. Don't photograph machines directly. Film wide shots like you're sending travel pics to grandkids." Smart. I adjusted my approach immediately. "The other complaints you mentioned, I said. Machine A247. Can you tell us when they happened?" Rosa pulled out her phone, pretended to show me something casual. On the screen, dates and claim numbers. January 14th, March the 3rd, May 22nd. Yesterday made 4. What were the amounts? $100 to $300. Small enough people didn't fight hard. But all the same machine. All the same machine. Harold wrote the dates in his notebook, casual as grocery lists. "Have you noticed anything else unusual?" I asked. "About A247, specifically." Rosa hesitated. "It gets serviced more than comparable models. Technician visits logged weekly. Most machines go months between maintenance." That felt significant. "Could we talk to previous complainants?" "Privacy rules." Rosa stood. "But Gaming Control can access complaint histories during investigations, if someone requested it formally." "How do we make that request?" "Amendment to your original dispute. Cite concerns about equipment integrity affecting multiple customers." She adjusted her purse. "I have to go. Good luck." She walked away before we could thank her. That afternoon, an older woman approached us. 70s, floral blouse, cigarette raspy voice. "You two investigating the slots?" I kept my expression neutral. "Just playing." "Bull. I've been coming here 12 years. No observers when I see them." She studied Harold's notebook. "You got a complaint?" "No point lying." "Machine A247. Jackpot displayed, then disappeared." Recognition flashed. "Happened to my friend in March. Different machine, same story. Showed 500, paid 17. She gave up when they cited technical errors." My pulse quickened. Would she talk to us? "She died in April. Heart attack." The woman's expression hardened. "But I remember. And I remember the pit boss who handled it. Same guy you dealt with?" "Carl." She nodded. "He's good at making people feel stupid, like you imagined it." "We didn't imagine it." "I know." She tapped ash into a tray. "Name's Lorraine. You need someone who saw something. I've got eyes and time." We added her contact to our growing list. By Sunday, we'd documented patterns. Machines clustered in A row experienced higher malfunction rates. Payouts over $100 triggered pit boss verification more often than company policy required. And Carl personally handled every dispute involving machines A200 through A300. Harold spread everything across the table. "This isn't random," he said. "No." I studied the timeline. "It's systematic." Our evidence formed a clear picture now. Not proof of fraud exactly, but proof something deserved investigation. Enough to justify Gaming Control taking a second look. I drafted the amendment to our dispute, citing equipment integrity concerns and requesting review of related complaints. Harold read it twice. You think this will work? I think we've built something they can't dismiss as confused seniors imagining things. I met his eyes. We've done the work they assumed we couldn't. He smiled, tired but genuine. Together. Together, I agreed. We mailed the amendment Monday morning, certified and documented, every page copied and filed. Now we waited, but this time we waited with ammunition. That evening, I spread our notes across the kitchen table and realized something. Harold had been following my lead this whole time, supportive, but passive. We needed to be partners in this, not just me directing while he assisted. We should divide responsibilities, I said. Play to our strengths. He looked up from his coffee. What do you mean? You're better at spotting details I miss. When we're at the casino, you notice who's working which stations, timing patterns, things I'm too focused to catch. I slid my notebook toward him. And your handwriting's more legible than mine. What if you handled documentation while I managed correspondence? Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Like I'd acknowledged what he'd been waiting to offer. I could create a tracking system, he said slowly. Cross-reference machine numbers with staff schedules. See if Carl's shifts correlate with malfunction reports. Perfect. And I'll handle Gaming Control communications, keep copies organized, follow up on deadlines. What about evidence review? Together, every evening, after dinner. He smiled. Like a team. We are a team. We shook hands, formal and slightly silly. But it mattered. This wasn't Eleanor's crusade anymore. It was ours. The ritual developed naturally over the next few days. 6 o'clock, Harold brewed coffee while I cleared the table. We'd lay out the day's findings, photographs, notes, receipts, and go through everything systematically. He'd read his observations, I'd add mine. We compared impressions, caught details the other missed, built our case piece by piece. Small victories earned quiet celebrations. When Harold's tracking revealed Carl worked every Thursday and Saturday, the casino's busiest days, I bought bakery cookies. When I received confirmation Gaming Control had logged our amendment, Harold splurged on good coffee beans. Nothing extravagant. We didn't have extravagant. But those moments felt like reclaiming something we'd lost years ago. Shared purpose. Partnership beyond routine. I remembered when we used to plan our daughter's birthday parties this way, dividing tasks, celebrating small successes. That memory didn't sting like it used to. It felt grounding. You're smiling, Harold said one evening. I'm remembering when we were good at working together. I squeezed his hand. We still are. He squeezed back. Mildred called on Wednesday, her voice tight with disapproval. Eleanor, people are talking. You and Harold at the casino constantly arguing with management. It looks desperate. I kept my tone even. We're not arguing. We're advocating. For what? A slot machine malfunction? She sighed heavily. You're embarrassing yourselves. Everyone knows casinos don't just hand out money because customers claim they won. We have evidence. Evidence. The word dripped skepticism. You're 73 years old, chasing fantasies while family worries you've lost perspective. When was your last doctor's appointment? Are you taking your medications properly? My jaw tightened. My health is fine. Is it? Because obsessive behavior, We're not obsessed. We're exercising our rights as customers who were treated unfairly. Rights. Mildred laughed, bitter and dismissive. This is what happens when people watch too much television. You think you're crusaders for justice? You're embarrassing our family over a few $100s you never actually won. 4,000 that you think you won. The machine said otherwise. Her voice softened, condescending. Eleanor, I love you, but this needs to stop before you damage your reputation further. You and Harold should focus on your health, your home. Accept that sometimes things don't go our way and move on with dignity. I hung up before responding. Couldn't trust what I'd say. Harold found me at the kitchen window, trembling with frustration. Mildred? He asked quietly. She thinks we're delusional, embarrassing, that we should quietly accept being cheated because we're too old to matter. He stood beside me, solid and calm. What do you think? I think she's wrong. I turned to face him. I think we matter. Our experience matters, our evidence matters, and fighting for what's right isn't foolish regardless of age. Then we keep going. People will talk. Let them. He took my hand. We have each other. That's enough. I leaned against him, drawing strength from his steadiness. Together? I asked. Together, he confirmed. We returned to the table, to our notes and coffee and quiet partnership. The outside world could judge all it wanted. We knew what we were doing. We knew why it mattered. And we weren't stopping. The casino floor felt different Thursday afternoon, less magical, more calculating. Harold and I walked through those glass doors with 3 manila folders, a camera, and 18 pages of documentation. We'd rehearsed this, practiced staying calm, presenting facts without emotion. I'd written key points on index cards, just in case. Ready? Harold asked. Ready, I said, stomach churning. At the player services desk, a young woman glanced up, smile professionally pleasant. We need to speak with Carl, I said. Regarding last week's dispute. Her smile flickered. Appointment? No, but we have documentation. She made a call, murmured something. He'll be out shortly. Wait over there. We sat on a vinyl bench, my pulse hammered. Harold squeezed my knee. Facts first, emotion later. Carl emerged from staff only, expression already closed. He recognized us immediately. Folks, he didn't sit. How can I help? I stood. We've compiled evidence regarding Thursday's jackpot dispute. Already explained. Technical malfunction. Case closed. Respectfully. What you believe doesn't override diagnostics. He crossed his arms. The house systems prevent errors. If it says malfunction, it's a malfunction. Harold stepped forward. We have photographs showing the combination. Timestamps, witness statements. Witnesses to what? The diagnostic screen? Or flashing lights? The jackpot display, I said evenly. Visible for 47 seconds before your technician cleared it. A display triggered by a glitch. Happens occasionally. That's why we have protocols. I opened the first folder. We're formally requesting the diagnostic logs, security footage, and service report. That's proprietary. Gaming control regulation at Gigya. Gaming control already reviewed this, found our response appropriate. He leaned forward. Ma'am, chasing this won't change the outcome. Continuing could raise questions about whether you're fully understanding the situation. The implication hit like cold water. Are you suggesting we're confused? Harold asked. Slots can be overwhelming, especially for infrequent visitors. False sympathy. Sometimes people see what they want to see, misinterpret displays. We're not misinterpreting anything, I said, voice trembling. We have, which doesn't override diagnostics. He straightened. If you continue, I'll involve security, for your protection. If there's concern about cognitive clarity, there's no concern. The voice came from behind Carl. Rosa stepped forward with a tablet, looking professional but tense. Carl turned. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. I logged the initial report. Their timeline matches security logs. The display was visible for 49 seconds, standard protocol. The display was erroneous. It showed a valid combination before the malfunction flag appeared. Their description aligns with my documentation. Carl's jaw worked. The error supersedes visual display. But their request is legitimate under Policy 47B. They have the right to formal review. The air crackled. Carl turned back, voice ice cold. Fine, submit in writing. We'll review through proper channels. How long, sir? Harold started. 30 business days. Could be longer. His smile didn't reach his eyes. We'll be thorough. Wouldn't want to miss any relevant factors. The threat was unmistakable. Rosa stepped forward. I can provide submission forms. Carl shot her a look, but said nothing. He walked away, footsteps sharp. My hands shook, gathering our folders. Harold steadied me. Rosa waited until Carl disappeared. I'll get you the forms. But be careful. He'll make this difficult. We know, I said. Do you? She glanced toward the staff door. He has more tools than you realize. We're not backing down, Harold said. Rosa studied us. Then document everything, because he will. She handed us her card and walked away. We stepped into afternoon sun, too bright after the dim interior. That was worse than expected, Harold said. He threatened us, implied we're incompetent. I know. Tried to intimidate us into silence. I know. He stopped, turned to face me. This will get harder before it gets better. I met his eyes. I know. Are we sure? I thought about Carl's condescension, the casual dismissal, the assumption we'd crumble because we were old. Yes, I said. We're sure. Harold nodded. Then we keep going. We walked to the car, exhausted, frustrated, strangely energized. The fight was just beginning, and we weren't running. The call came Tuesday morning while I was organizing our evidence folders. Mrs. Bennett, this is Sharon from Silver Star Casino Management. I switched to speaker. Harold looked up from his newspaper. Yes? We've received a complaint regarding last week's interaction. Anonymous. Alleges you were disoriented during your visit. Aggressive with staff. My stomach dropped. That's absurd. The report mentions raised voices, confusion about procedures, possible memory lapses. We were perfectly clear, Harold said. Documented everything. Nevertheless, management takes these concerns seriously, especially regarding patron well-being. A pause. We're required to follow up when cognitive issues are flagged. There it wraps up, Carl's retaliation. There are no cognitive issues, I said carefully. Then you won't mind a brief wellness assessment. Standard protocol for disputed claims involving elderly patrons. My face burned. We're not submitting to... It's voluntary. But refusal would raise questions about your claim's validity. Harold gripped my hand. I forced calm into my voice. We'll consider it. You have 48 hours. After that, we may need to involve Adult Protective Services. For your safety. She hung up. I stared at the phone. They're trying to discredit us. Making us look incompetent, Harold agreed, so anything we say gets dismissed. It's calculated, I paced. If we refuse, they say we're uncooperative. If we agree, they'll twist results to make us look confused. What do we do? I didn't answer. The walls felt closer. By afternoon, Rosa called. Her voice was tight. I've been put on administrative leave. What? Pending review. They claim I violated confidentiality protocols by discussing your case. She exhaled shakily. My supervisor showed me the report. Says I shared proprietary information, coached you on making false claims. Guilt crashed over me. Rosa, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. This is Carl covering himself. You could lose your job. Maybe. A long pause. But I knew the risks. We can't let you. You didn't let me do anything. I chose. Her voice strengthened. And I'd choose again. What he's doing is wrong. But your career is mine to risk. Don't take that from me. Harold touched my shoulder. I nodded, eyes stinging. Thank you, I whispered. Just keep fighting. That's the thanks I need. After she hung up, I sat in silence. Harold cleared his throat. We could stop. I looked at him. Rosa's job. The threats. Maybe it's not worth... You want to quit. My voice was sharp. I want to protect you. And Rosa. By letting them win. By not destroying everything over money we never had. He stood. We're 81 years old. Is this really the hill we die on? It's not about the money anymore. Then what? Dignity. The word burst out. Being treated like we matter, like we're not just confused old people who can be brushed aside. I know that. Do you? Because right now it sounds like you're ready to prove them right, to accept that we're too old, too tired, too weak to stand up for ourselves. Harold flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? I was shaking. You were the one who said we should go in the first place, who squeezed my hand at that machine. Now when it gets hard, I'm scared. His voice cracked. Of what this is doing to you. To us. The anger drained. We stared at each other across our tiny kitchen. I'm scared too, I said quietly. He sat back down. So what do we do? I thought about Carl's smug face, Sharon's patronizing tone, the assumption that age meant defeat. Then I thought about Rosa, risking everything because it was right. We keep going, I said, but smarter. How? We get our own assessment, independent doctor before their deadline, proves we're competent. I reached for his hand. We document Rosa's treatment, show the pattern of retaliation, build the case that they're not just dismissing a claim. They're silencing witnesses. Harold studied me. That's a lot of work. I know. Could still fail. I know that too. He squeezed my fingers. You really want this fight? I met his eyes. I really do. He nodded slowly. Then we do it together. Together, I agreed. The anger had passed, leaving something steadier. We'd fought, rare for us, but we'd also chosen. Not blind optimism or reckless pride. Purpose, clear and shared. Harold pulled the folders closer. Where do we start? I found the phone book. Independent assessment first. Then we call gaming control, make an official record. And Rosa? We support her review, provide our account, show she acted ethically. He made notes in his careful handwriting. The simple act grounded us both. Outside, clouds gathered. Inside, we worked. The fight wasn't over, but we weren't either. That evening, Rosa called again, voice urgent but controlled. I found something, digital logs from the jackpot night. I put her on speaker. Harold leaned in. I copied them before my leave started. The machine registered your win at 8:47 p.m., but there's a second entry, Carl's manual override at 8:52, reversing the payout and flagging it as malfunction. Harold's hand gripped the table. He changed it himself. The incident report says the machine showed error codes before the jackpot, but those codes are time-stamped 9:15, almost half an hour after he voided your win. He falsified the sequence, I breathed. Exactly. I have screenshots, time-stamped server logs backed up to my personal email. This changes everything, I said. Maybe. Carl could claim legitimate reasons for manual overrides, but combined with your evidence, it shows deliberate action, not error. Her tone steadied. You'll need to present it right. After she hung up, Harold spoke first. We really have a case now. I pulled our folders closer. Video stills, witness statements, and digital proof Carl reversed a legitimate win and lied about it. Next morning, I called gaming control. The intake officer perked up at manual override logs and timestamp discrepancies. You have documentation? Comprehensive. Photos, witness accounts, digital records. Independent witnesses. 3, plus the employee who found the irregularities. That employee willing to testify? Yes. Keyboard clicks. Opening formal complaint 2847B. Submit everything within 10 business days. Fair warning, casinos have legal teams. We're prepared to advocate for ourselves. Expect arbitration in 4 to 6 weeks. Harold had been listening. Time to get ready. We organized everything chronologically. Harold suggested we outline it as a timeline. Simple, visual, undeniable. The machine displayed a valid jackpot at 8:47 p.m., I rehearsed. The pit boss reversed it 5 minutes later, citing a system error that didn't exist until after his intervention. Good, Harold said. Fact, fact, fact. Let evidence speak. What? About emotion? Save it for the end, after they can't dispute the timeline. Over the next week, we refined everything. I created a tabbed binder with witness statements, photos, and Rosa's encrypted digital files backed up on USB. We practiced in the living room. Harold played arbitrator, firing questions. How can you be certain the machine wasn't malfunctioning? Server logs show no error codes until 9:15 p.m., 28 minutes after the jackpot was voided. Could you have misread the display? 3 independent witnesses confirmed it. Written statements attached as Exhibits C through E. He nodded approvingly. By day 10, our 42-page submission was ready. I mailed it certified. 2 weeks later, Gaming Control called. Your arbitration hearing is March 18th, 10 a.m. Regional Gaming Office. 30 minutes to present. The casino will have legal counsel. Understood. I set down the phone. Harold looked up from his crossword. March 18th, I said. He circled the date. We had our hearing, evidence, and preparation. Now we just had to face them. The regional gaming office occupied a nondescript brick building 20 minutes out. Harold parked carefully, exhaling slowly. "Ready?" he asked. I gripped our binder. "As we'll ever be." Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed. A receptionist directed us to conference room B. Rosa waited by the water cooler, professionally dressed. "You came," I said. "Wouldn't miss it." She handed me a folder. Timeline cross-references and server logs. The door opened. A woman in charcoal gestured us inside. "Arbitrator Chen, please sit." The room held a long table, recording equipment, 3 officials. Across sat the casino's legal team, 2 attorneys, crisp briefcases, and Carl, looking rehearsed. Chen reviewed procedures. 30 minutes each. This is informal arbitration, not trial, but statements are under oath. Complainants begin. I stood, smoothing my blouse. My hands didn't shake. February 14th, 8:47 p.m. I won $43,000 on machine SL227 at Riverbend Casino. Valid sequence, lights, payout screen. 5 minutes later, Mr. Patterson voided it, citing malfunction that records prove didn't exist until after his override. I opened the binder. Exhibit A, machine display, time-stamped 8:48 p.m. Chen leaned forward. Exhibit B, witness Albert Cho confirming jackpot sequence. A casino attorney raised his pen. Lay witness observations aren't technical verification. Chen nodded. Continue. Exhibit C, witness Linda Vickers corroborating. Exhibit D, server logs showing my win at 8:47 p.m. No error codes. The attorneys whispered. Exhibit E, Patterson's override at 8:52 p.m., reversing payout. Exhibit F, error codes, time-stamped 9:15 p.m., 28 minutes after the void. Chen glanced at the casino side. Mr. Patterson cited pre-existing codes. Lead attorney Brennan nodded. Standard procedure for anomalies. Yet logs show codes appeared later, I said. Brennan didn't flinch. Timestamps lag during updates. Machines flag errors internally before central logging. Chen made notes. We'll address that. Continue, Mrs. Whitmore. Exhibit G, casino policy requiring immediate notification when jackpots are voided. We received none until we requested records ourselves. Harold passed me water. We're disputing reversal of legitimate winnings based on falsified timelines and protocol failures. I sat. Chen turned. Your presentation, Mr. Brennan. Brennan adjusted his tie. The casino disputes characterization of fraud or impropriety. He retrieved documents. SL2227 has 8 months of intermittent display malfunctions. Exhibit 1, 3 prior incidents where jackpot displays activated erroneously. Copies slid across. Each time, the random number generator didn't align with displayed outcome. Patterson's override followed protocol for suspected errors. Chen reviewed logs. Regarding timestamps, central logging operates on batch uploads every 15 to 20 minutes during peak hours. Internal diagnostics aren't immediately reflected centrally. A panel member spoke. Documentation of upload schedule. Exhibit 2. I glanced at Harold. He squeezed my hand. Finally, the Whitmores were verbally informed. Written notification follows formal disputes, filed 10 days later. He sat, confident. 15-minute recess, Chen announced. Rosa touched my shoulder. You did well. So did they. Harold leaned against the wall. They're prepared. We knew they would be. Can we counter the batch explanation? Rosa considered. If I cross-reference upload intervals with their schedule, but I need full system logs. Will they provide those? Depends on Chen. 15 minutes crawled. I sipped vending machine coffee, watching Carl confer with Brennan. We returned. Clarifying questions, Chen said. She looked at me. Do you have technical expertise in slot machines? No. How did you obtain Exhibit D? I glanced at Rosa. Miss Martinez provided them. Chen turned to Rosa. Are you employed by Riverbend? Yes. Did you have authorization to share internal logs? I accessed publicly logged data available to floor staff for incident reporting. I believed it relevant. Brennan interjected. Ms. Martinez is on administrative leave pending review. Chen raised her hand. The evidence stands regardless. Mr. Brennan, provide full batch upload logs for February 14th, 8 to 10 p.m. Brennan hesitated. We can request IT compile that. 72 hours. He nodded stiffly. We'll reconvene March 25th, 2 p.m. Dismissed. The gavel tapped. Rosa walked out with us. What now? Harold asked. We wait, I said, and hope those logs show what we think. Rosa's expression was unreadable. Either way, you stood your ground. Outside, afternoon sun felt too bright. Harold unlocked the car. 7 days, he said. I slid in, binder on my lap. We'd held our own, but the real test lay ahead. The second session opened with Albert Cho shuffling to the witness table. Mr. Cho, Chen began, you were present February 14th? Yes, ma'am. Describe what you saw. He adjusted his hearing aid. I was 2 machines down, heard the music, looked over. Mrs. Whitmore's machine was lit up like a Christmas tree. Numbers climbing fast. Jackpot screen clear as day. Brennan stood. How long between jackpot display and staff arrival? Maybe 3-4 minutes. Did you observe technical error indicators? No flashing lights, no warnings, just celebration music? Were you watching continuously? Albert hesitated. Mostly. Glanced back at my own machine a couple times. Brennan nodded. So you can't verify continuous functionality? I saw what I saw. That lady won. Chen thanked him. Next witness. Linda Vickers approached, hands clasped nervously. Mrs. Vickers, you were also nearby? Yes, I remember because Eleanor, Mrs. Whitmore, helped me find change earlier. When her machine went off, I was happy for her. What did you observe? Full jackpot sequence, lights, sounds, payout screen. She turned to her husband. They were holding hands. Beautiful moment, really. My throat tightened. Then the pit boss came over, started talking about errors. Eleanor looked confused. Did the machine display malfunction warnings? Not that I noticed. Brennan rose. Mrs. Vickers, do you gamble frequently? Once a month, maybe. Are you familiar with error protocols? Not really. So you wouldn't recognize subtle technical indicators? Linda's voice firmed. I know a jackpot when I see one. Brennan sat. Chen glanced at the schedule. Miss Martinez. Rosa walked forward, shoulders squared. I'd seen that posture before. Quiet courage fighting nerves. Miss Martinez, explain your involvement. I work casino floor operations. When Mr. Patterson voided the Whitmore's win, something felt wrong. Policy requires immediate documentation for disputed jackpots. That didn't happen. What did you do? I pulled server logs available to floor staff. They showed the win registered normally, error codes appearing later. Why involve yourself? Rosa's voice steadied. Because it was right. The Whitmores deserved honest answers, not dismissal. Brennan stood. You accessed restricted data without authorization. I accessed incident reporting data within my clearance. You're currently under disciplinary review. Yes. For violating internal protocols to assist external complainants. Rosa met his eyes. For refusing to ignore injustice. A panel member leaned forward. Do you stand by your findings? Absolutely. Chen nodded. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Rosa returned to her seat. I wanted to reach for her hand, but stayed still. Mr. Patterson? Chen called. Carl approached, posture relaxed, confident. Describe your actions February 14th. Routine void. Machine displayed jackpot, but RNG audit showed misalignment. Standard override. When did you request audit logs? Immediately upon visuals. Inspection. Exhibit F shows error codes logged at 9:15 p.m. Central logging delay. Internal diagnostics flagged issues at 8:50 p.m. Documentation. Verbal report to supervisor logged next shift. Chen frowned. No immediate written record? Peak hours. Written reports follow verbal. Brennan interjected. Casino policy prioritizes floor coverage during peak traffic. Documentation occurs as staffing allows. I clenched my fists. Convenient. Chen turned to me. Mrs. Whitmore, questions for Mr. Patterson. My pulse quickened. We'd rehearsed this. I stood. Mr. Patterson, you said visual inspection revealed errors. What specific indicators? Display inconsistency, such as payout didn't match expected RNG output. How did you verify RNG output at 8:52 p.m. without central logs? He paused. Experience. 11 years managing floor operations. So you reversed $43,000 based on intuition? Based on protocol and training? Without written documentation until the next shift? His jaw tightened. Correct procedure? I sat. Brennan addressed the panel. Mr. Patterson acted within authority and policy. The Whitmore's claim rests on misunderstanding technical processes. Harold's hand found mine under the table. Chen closed her folder. We'll deliberate. Reconvene in 2 hours. The gavel tapped. Rosa exhaled slowly. You confronted him well. Will it matter? It has to. We filed into the hallway. Harold bought coffee neither of us drank. 2 hours, he murmured. I stared at the clock. Time had never moved slower. Carl walked past, eyes forward. Brennan murmured something. Carl's expression hardened. Rosa leaned against the wall. Whatever happens, you didn't back down. But did we do enough? She didn't answer. We waited. The panel reconvened at 4:17 p.m. Chen cleared her throat. We've reviewed all evidence and testimony. Before issuing our decision, the casino has requested to address the Whitmores directly. Brennan stood. With the panel's permission, we'd like to propose settlement terms. My stomach dropped. The casino acknowledges communication failures regarding Mrs. Whitmore's win. While technical anomalies occurred, we recognize the distress caused by inadequate explanation. Harold's fingers tightened around mine. Therefore, we offer $15,000, full waiver of future claims, and complimentary amenities valued at $3,000. $18,000. Less than half. This settlement reflects goodwill and avoids prolonged dispute. We request the Whitmore's decision within 24 hours. Chen looked at us. Mrs. Whitmore, you may respond now or request deliberation time. My voice caught. We need to discuss this. Understandable. Reconvene tomorrow, 10 a.m. The gavel tapped again. We drove home in silence. Harold parked in the driveway. Neither of us moved. 15,000, he finally said, plus amenities we'd never use. It's still money, more than we had last month. I stared at our little house, peeling paint we couldn't afford to fix, garden Harold tended because we couldn't hire landscapers. 15,000 would help. Wouldn't solve everything, but it'd ease the constant worry. They're buying our silence, I whispered. Maybe. Definitely, he rubbed his temples. What if we fight and lose everything? The question hung heavy between us. Inside, I made tea neither of us wanted. Harold sat at the kitchen table, fingers drumming that familiar rhythm, stress pattern I'd known 43 years. My phone buzzed. Mildred. Heard about the settlement offer. Take it, don't be foolish. I set the phone down harder than intended. Mildred? Advising prudence. She always does. Harold's tone carried no judgment, just weariness. Another text. My nephew Roger. 15 grand is nothing to sneeze at. Smart people know when to fold. Then Aunt Carol. You've made your point. Don't embarrass yourself. Each message landed like a small stone, individually light, collectively crushing. They all think we should settle, I said. Harold reached across the table. What do you think? Funny how that question, simple, direct, cut through everything else. What did I think? I thought about the pit boss's dismissive tone, Brennan's calculated confidence, the way they'd treated us like confused children who'd wandered somewhere we didn't belong. I thought about Rosa, risking her job because it was right. I thought about our daughter, gone 20 years now, who'd never backed down from anything, who'd taught me courage looked different at every age but mattered just the same. I think 15,000 is insulting, I said quietly. I think they're betting we're too tired or scared to keep going. Are we? I met his eyes. I don't know. Are we? He was quiet a long moment. Outside, evening settled over our small street. Neighbors arriving home, dinner smells drifting through open windows. Our world, small and manageable, except we'd stepped outside it. And stepping back felt like surrender. I'm tired, Harold admitted. This whole thing exhausts me. Me too. But I keep thinking... He paused. We spent decades being careful, playing it safe. And where'd it get us? Here, together. Broke together, he corrected gently. Eleanor, when did we stop fighting for ourselves? The question stung because I knew the answer. Somewhere between medical bills and funeral expenses and endless small defeats, we'd learned to accept less, expect less, become less. I don't want to be that person anymore, I whispered. Harold stood, crossed to where I sat, and pulled me close. His sweater smelled like coffee and old books and home. Then we don't accept, he said into my hair. Family will say we're foolish. Let them. We might lose. We might. I pulled back to see his face. You're sure? His smile was small but genuine. I'm sure I'd rather fight beside you than settle for scraps. Something loosened in my chest. Fear, maybe, or doubt. What remained felt clearer. Full recognition, I said. Full jackpot. Or nothing. He kissed my forehead. Or nothing. We'd tell Chen tomorrow. Tonight we'd sleep knowing we'd chosen dignity over convenience. And honestly, that felt like winning already. 10 a.m. arrived like a held breath releasing. Harold and I sat in the same uncomfortable chairs, hands clasped together on the table. Rosa had texted earlier, "Good luck. You've got this." And I'd read it 3 times before entering the room. Arbitrator Chen walked in with 2 folders, expression unreadable. My heart hammered against my ribs. Beside me, Harold's grip tightened. "Thank you for your patience," Chen began, settling into her chair. "I've reviewed all testimonies, examined the digital evidence, and consulted with independent technical experts." She opened the first folder. The machine logs confirm Mrs. Whitmore's jackpot win occurred at 3:47 p.m. on the date in question. The payout algorithm executed correctly. No mechanical malfunction existed. My breath caught. However, Chen continued, a software reporting error, separate from the payout mechanism, triggered an internal alert. This alert was misinterpreted by casino staff as indication of malfunction rather than reporting glitch. She looked directly at Brennan, whose jaw tightened. The error lies not with the machine's payout validity, but with inadequate staff training on distinguishing between mechanical failures and software reporting anomalies. Brennan started to speak. Chen raised one hand. "I'm not finished." She turned a page. Ms. Delgado's testimony proved particularly illuminating. Her documentation of similar incidents, previously unreported, demonstrates a pattern of hasty dismissals rather than thorough investigation. Rosa sat 2 rows behind us. I didn't turn, but I felt her quiet presence like a steadying hand. Furthermore, Chen said, the pit boss's immediate rejection without proper verification violated the casino's own dispute resolution protocols, which clearly state that wins exceeding $10,000 require secondary technical review before any determination. Harold exhaled slowly. Based on the evidence presented, I rule in favor of Eleanor and Harold Whitmore. The jackpot win of $38,500 is valid and must be honored in full. The room seemed to tilt. Additionally, Chen continued, I recommend the casino implement mandatory retraining on technical alert interpretation and establish clearer protocols for large win verification. A formal apology to the Whitmores is also appropriate. She closed the folder. Ms. Delgado's actions, while technically outside standard procedure, demonstrated ethical courage and commitment to fairness. I suggest internal recognition rather than disciplinary action. Behind us, someone, probably Rosa, made a small sound. Chen looked at me. Mrs. Whitmore, Mr. Whitmore, do you have questions? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Harold found his voice first. When will payment be processed? Within 10 business days, standard jackpot disbursement timeline. And the apology? I managed. Chen glanced at Brennan. Mr. Brennan? He stood stiffly. Silver Pine Casino regrets the confusion and inconvenience caused to Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore. We acknowledge procedural errors and commit to implementing recommended improvements. It wasn't warm, wasn't heartfelt, but it was acknowledgement. Chen stood. This arbitration is concluded. All parties are dismissed. The gavel's tap felt like a door opening. Outside the hearing room, Rosa waited in the hallway. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but her smile was genuine. You did it, she whispered. We did it, I corrected, pulling her into a hug. Harold shook her hand formally, then gave up and hugged her too. Thank you doesn't feel big enough. Doing the right thing doesn't need thanks. Rosa wiped her eyes. But I'll accept it anyway. We stood there a moment. 3 people who'd barely known each other weeks ago, now bound by something deeper than circumstance. What happens now? Rosa asked. I looked at Harold. He looked at me. Now, I said slowly, we go home. Not defeated, not diminished, validated, heard, vindicated. We walked through Silver Pine's lobby one final time. The slot machines still chimed and flashed, oblivious to everything that had changed. Other players hunched over screens, chasing their own hopes. I didn't feel superior to them. Didn't feel lucky, exactly. I felt present, like I'd reclaimed some piece of myself I'd misplaced years ago. Harold opened the casino's front door. Afternoon sunlight spilled across the parking lot, warm and honest. $38,000, he said quietly. $38,000, I repeated. Not a fortune, not a fantasy, but ours. Fairly won, rightfully claimed, properly acknowledged. We walked to our car with our heads high and our hands linked, leaving the bright lights behind. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, the world felt like it had room for people like us. Careful, cautious, but capable of fighting when it mattered. Justice didn't always roar. Sometimes it just quietly insisted, I was here, I mattered, and you will recognize that. We'd been recognized. That felt like the real jackpot all along. We sat in our kitchen 3 days after the verdict, sunlight slanting through the same window it had for 30 years. The refrigerator hummed its familiar off-key tune, but something fundamental had shifted. Harold spread the casino's check across the table, $38,500. Still doesn't feel real, he said. We'd spent the first evening staring at it, the second calculating roof repair, furnace replacement, Harold's postponed dental work. By the third day, we'd moved past practicality into something more precious. Permission to dream. What do you really want? I asked. Harold considered this carefully. I'd like to visit the grandkids. Actually spend time, not just a rushed weekend. My throat tightened. Our daughter's children. We saw them twice a year, always conscious of being burdens. Yes, I said. And you? I thought of the watercolor set I'd admired, the art class I'd dismissed as frivolous. I want to stop apologizing for existing, I said quietly. Harold covered my hand with his. We did that at the arbitration. I know, but I want to keep doing it. The doorbell interrupted us. Rosa stood on our step, holding a covered dish. I made too much lasagna. I pulled her inside. You're never intruding. We set 3 places, something we hadn't done in years. The lasagna was simple, hearty, generous. How's work? Harold asked. Weird. Management's overly nice, but I'm not getting fired. You shouldn't have risked that for us, I said. Yes, I should have. Rosa met my eyes. You reminded me why I took that job. To help people, not process them. We ate in comfortable silence, the kind that only happens between people who've weathered something together. So, Rosa said eventually, what are you going to do with the money? Harold and I exchanged glances. Boring stuff first, I admitted. Roof, furnace, Harold's teeth. Very sexy, Rosa teased. But then we're taking the grandkids to the coast for a week. And I'm taking an art class, I added. Rosa grinned. Good. What about you? I asked. She hesitated. I've been thinking about social work school, something where I can actually advocate for people instead of watching systems fail them. Harold nodded approvingly. You'd be brilliant. It's expensive, though. How much do you need? I interrupted. What? No, I wasn't asking. We know, I said, but we're asking you. Her eyes filled. Eleanor, you just fought for months. We can do whatever we want with it, Harold said firmly. That's the whole point. 5,000 would cover most of a semester. Then 5,000 it is, I said. I'll pay you back. You already did, I told her. You gave us proof that people still show up for each other. She cried properly then. I cried too, because somewhere along this journey, this young woman had become family. Harold fetched tissues. We finished dinner surrounded by plans, Rosa's coursework timeline, our coastal trip, my art class schedule. Small things, ordinary dreams. But they were ours. Claimed honestly, built on justice, rooted in connection. Later, after Rosa left with promises to return Sunday, Harold and I washed dishes together. Do you feel different? He asked. I dried a plate slowly. Yes, but not how I expected. How so? I thought winning would make me feel powerful, but mostly it just makes me feel present. Harold nodded, like we're allowed to take up space again. Exactly that. Outside, the neighborhood settled into evening, the same sounds we'd heard for decades. But we were listening differently now.